Hello and welcome back to Integratus. This is episode 3 and I am your host, Mr. Jonathan Franz, on the other end. So, I have a confession to make. Since launching my podcast, I am very much discovering this process, this creative process, this way of communicating and sharing, and I'm loving it. But I got to let you in on a little secret. So, what I decided to do before launching the podcast was I wanted to have some episodes in the bank. So I recorded about 5 episodes that gave me a buffer zone before I launched. So I would I would launch, but then I would have 5 or 6 episodes, a bit of that buffer zone, because I feel like there can actually be quite a bit of pressure to bring something out once per week, edit it, make a couple snippets here and there, put it on Instagram, do the whole shebang. And the reason why I did that was I had some fear around, or at least some pressure around posting an episode every week. So I was like, man, I got to get a couple of episodes out. At least I've got, a period of grace. So I put together a few episodes. I was really talking about what was going on in my life back then, which was almost like 5 or 6 weeks ago now. And I went to go and I listened back the episode that I was supposed to record, or that I actually was supposed to post for this week, which is episode 3. And I listened back to it and I was like, man, I don't feel this way. Like, in what I was talking about, I don't think I was as clear as I wanted to be. And it just didn't light me up listening back to it at all. And I was like, far out, what am I going to do now? And then I had all this fear of like, shit, I've got to post an episode, like blah, blah, blah. I've got to quickly get some stuff. And anyway, I just let that settle. And I thought to myself, I want to deliver something that is actually current, like at least live or alive in my life, with some sort of buffer zone anywhere from 7 to 14 days. So I recorded another episode, and this episode feels much more relevant to exactly where I'm currently at. So I'm going to go with that. And I might not even use actually the 5 episodes that I recorded. It just feels like this is more of an organic process, and I'm sure I'll structure episodes in the future. But right now, I'm really enjoying I'm enjoying sharing what's present in my life. So we're gonna kick it off. Bum 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 bum. Okay, team. I am officially 2 weeks into this podcast shenanigans thingamajiggy, and I am feeling all the feels. I can safely say that I'm experiencing everything, and this is a forced way to grow. Internal growth is real, and I'm doing it as we speak. So I wanted to share in this episode, some of the synchronicities, the beautiful synchronicities that have actually happened since launching this podcast, and who's come into my field, and how how things are manifesting, essentially. So I want to talk a little bit about that. But before I do that, I want to say that I have been thinking about this podcast for quite some time. Like, it's been cooking in the oven for a while, and I've acted on it only recently. But the reason why I've only acted on it recently is because I actually feel like I've had the courage and the confidence to put myself out there and be in this creative zone where I can articulate my thoughts, I can share ideas, I can be vulnerable, I can be authentic, and I can hopefully be of service to the whole. And that is a question I've been asking myself lately. Like, how can I be of service? How can I be of greater service to the whole? And it's a deep question. It's a long question to contemplate. And there's no right or wrong. And this is one of those mediums that I felt has the ability for me to be of greater service to the whole. So I released on June 30th. And leading up to June 30th, I'd recorded 5 episodes. I'm already in the creation of the podcast, and I'm already feeling through what's my message and what am I going to be talking about, and getting the courage to press record and making a mess and being, here for 3 hours for a 20-minute episode and all the clunkiness and the messiness of this initial creation. But I knew I wanted it to be something about healing, and I wanted to be talking about self-love, and I wanted to be spreading and sharing wisdom from my soul. So I posted on social media, I posted on Instagram, I posted on Facebook, and I could feel this surge of excitement and engagement inside of me posting. And as the hours went on and the day went on, I could feel myself. I was like, I'm going to set a boundary. I'm not going to look at it until the end of the day. And that's exactly what I did. And at the end of the day, I looked at it, and there was a bunch of comments and likes and all this stuff. And immediately I was overwhelmed. Immediately it was oh shit. I've got to get back to these people. I've got to get back to these people. What the heck? And then I just kind of calmed down and let my nervous system relax. And then I slowly started reading these beautiful messages that people had sent me, and the comments and the likes and all this stuff. And it was beautiful. It was really, really beautiful to engage in that way. And then I left that, and I didn't look at it until the following day. And then the following day, I realized things had changed. It was I had a sense of pride and accomplishment inside of me. But I also had this other part of me which was where's everything at? What are the likes at? How many people have liked me on Facebook? How many people have commented on Instagram? What number am I up to? 90 likes on Instagram, 126 on Facebook. And my mind's tick, 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 tick. And I was fully in it. And then my dad comes up to me. He's like, oh, you got 90 likes on Instagram. And I was like, oh yeah. And then I said, yeah, but I did better on Facebook. On Facebook, I got 126 likes. And in that moment, I was like, oh shit, I'm in it. I'm in it. I'm in this game. I stepped into this weird, somewhat hidden game that we're all in if we use social media, whether we know it or not. And it's this game of likes. It's this game of comments. It's this weird hierarchy that exists inside of us that we don't really quite understand because social media is quite new. And it's also paired with hormones, dopamine, cortisol, serotonin, all these uplifting hormones. So it's ooh, I'm getting more likes. Ooh, that means I'm good. Ooh, that means people are watching me. Ooh, that means, holy shit, I've got some expectation here and I'm running some race. And I paused, man. And I was like, oh shit. I'm in the game that I'm trying not to be in. And yeah, I realized like how quickly it is to be fully immersed in how many likes, what are people saying, this weird like kind of popularity, like invisible popularity hierarchy. It's like people that have a blue tick. Like, no disrespect about people that have a blue tick, and it's like, do you? But that's literally, Instagram has created an even bigger hierarchy system to be like, oh, this person's got a blue tick. Oh, it's like in our consciousness, we're saying we're putting these people on a pedestal, right? And whether you know it or not, it's happening. It's happening. It's ingrained everywhere. This hierarchy is literally everywhere. AKA, what car you drive. AKA, how much money's in your bank account. AKA, how many holidays you go on. AKA, how many followers you have. AKA, how many people are getting likes. AKA, like, you know, are you popular? AKA, like, all the things. And we're in this hierarchy system. And it exists. And I don't have the answers or the way out. But I can tell you one thing. Be conscious of it. Understand when you've just slipstreamed into this hierarchy of likes, of followers. And do your best to understand those parts. Understand what they're trying to say to you. Don't shut them out. Don't shut them down. Look at that part of you that's like keen to be seen in the world. Like literally the more likes we get, we could easily equate that to the more seen we are in the world, to the more valued we are in the world. And that's a slippery slope. So take a pause. That's my first tip. Slow down and be really conscious about these parts, these thoughts that come up, especially around social media. And the second thing is boundaries. Like, set boundaries. Don't have this relationship with social media where it's actually controlling you. You don't have any agency of when you use it or you don't use it. It's just autopilot on the toilet, open up the Instagram, open up the YouTube, go to bed, open up the thing, wake up, open up, blah, blah, blah. And there's literally zero agency over your decisions and your choices and how you choose to give energy, because it's your precious energy. It's really important that you save that for the most important person in your life, which is you. So that's my likes kind of hierarchy rant. I hope that resonates. I'm sure it does, because we're all in it. And now back to the synchronicity flow of my podcast. So earlier this year, in February, I did a plant medicine journey. And I'm not actually going to go into my experience of that plant medicine ceremony. But I will do that later in later episodes. And I'm still like discerning the lessons, and that was such a big, deep, profound journey for me, and I am ready to share it, but I know it's not there just yet. So I am waiting to share my journey around my plant ceremony and doing ayahuasca with 20 incredible individuals and having a very deep healing experience. But I'm not ready to talk about that just yet, because there's like a lot of caveats that I want to put in place, because a lot of people can just be like, especially right now, like psychedelics and plant medicine, it's really on the rise, and so many people can actually access that world way before their gut or their intuition says to walk that path. And some people access that realm when actually their path is not to be in the world of psychedelics and plant medicine and stuff like that. So this is a very sensitive, very touchy conversation. I feel like a lot of people out there are using plant medicine as almost like a savior and a gateway to heal and to crack themselves open in a very fast, potentially very challenging and also could be very traumatic time if you haven't properly chosen it and if you're not fully equipped with the right set, the right setting, the right people. The right people are so important. The right people, I'm going to say that again, to guide you along this very, very deep, enlightening journey to explore oneself. So for a later episode, but I just want to put the caveats in place there around psychedelics and using them as a healing modality, and to make a very conscious choice and to go slow if you are deciding you want to do that or that's come in your field, to go really, really slow. So, with that being said, during my plant medicine ceremony, I heard a song, and just for context, all ceremonies are quite different, but when you're in a ceremony and if it's actually structured in the right way, then you've got a shaman, and you've also got somewhat of a support crew that are musicians, healers, people that specialize in making fire, people that have actually been initiated in the medicine, people that really work in the realms of spirit, and are deeply, deeply, deeply connected to a path of consciousness, and have a lot of experience in that space. So whilst I was in ceremony, there was this incredible song called A Joyful Man that was played. And whilst I was in ceremony, it was just something that really stood out to me, but I didn't know the name of it. I kind of forgot about it, but it really touched me. And when I got back from ceremony, I went through actually a very dark time. A lot of doubt, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear had come up in my life after that. And in a particular moment, in a very dark moment, I had a friend, shout out Luca Parry, I had a friend send me this song, A Joyful Man. And it triggered that moment of remembrance back in ceremony where my heart was open and I was just like fully letting the music pass through me. And I had tears of joy and just tears of elation, and really like this song had just connected. And I heard it again and I was like, oh my God. And I was in the process of creating a podcast, and I said, this is it. This is the song that reminds me of what my podcast is about, what Integratus is actually about. So, very faintly, I've put it in the intro of my podcast. And if you haven't listened to the trailer, go and listen to it. Behind that is this song, A Joyful Man. And its creation is from a beautiful artist in Canada called Kyra Maestra. And she writes, I only found this then, but she writes music for healing, for medicine, and it is in this like ceremony plant world. And I didn't know that at the time, and I started looking at her music and playing it whilst I was recording my podcast, and it deeply touched me. So I thought, man, I want to use this. I want to use this song in my intro. So I went and used it in my intro. And when you upload a podcast on the various platforms, specifically Apple asks you, does this podcast contain third-party content? And you got two options. Yes, it does contain third-party contents, and I've got the rights for it. Or, no, it doesn't contain any third-party content. So I'm looking at this freaking question, and I'm thinking, damn, my intro has got some third-party contents in it, and it ain't mine, and I don't have the freaking rights for it. So I sat on it for 2 days, and I'm thinking, man, what do I do? Do I do the sneaky? Like, do I just say, yes, I've got the rights for it? Or do I be honest about this process? Do I say no and take out the song and take out the intro? And I was like, man, I really feel called to like use this song. So I sat on it for 2 days, stewing over it and thinking what I'm going to do. And, you know, my wonderful mind was like, dude, just contact her. But then I had other parts like, nah, man, that's ridiculous. Like, she won't reply to you, you know, don't ask for something that you might have to pay for, or it's probably just a stupid all the things were like just coming up inside my mind, right? To say no, to put myself out there and ask if I could use her music. Anyway, I bit the bullet and I wrote to her on Instagram. Just the beauty of social media, like it's just gnarly how this stuff can happen. So I wrote to her on social media and I said, hey, my name's Jonathan Franz. I'm from Sydney, Australia. I've just created a podcast called Integratus. It's all about healing. It's all about self-love. It's all about my journey. You know, it's all about bringing this lightness to the world and helping people heal and helping people bring more wisdom to their life and connect with their actual gut instinct so they can follow a life of their dreams and embrace their fears. And I also said I heard your song in ceremony and it deeply touched me, and then it got like re-triggered to me again, and I thought, you know what? This is the song that resembles my podcast and what I'm here to talk about. And I said all that to her, and she replied to me within like 24 hours with a voice note. And she said, hello, Jono. I would be absolutely delighted if you used that song, A Joyful Man, and you're welcome to use all of my songs in the future for any of your podcasts. And I'm going, oh my God, like, how is this happening? And then she also said, if your podcast is about what you say it is, not only do I write music for medicine and music for the soul, but I'm also a somatic therapist. And in particular, I teach a somatic therapy for people that are going into their own ceremony for plant medicine or healing or whatever it is. And I'm like, oh my God, the stars are freaking aligning. The universe is speaking to me. So we threw a couple of voice notes back and forth. And she's going to be one of the first guests that I bring onto my podcast. And I'm blown away. I'm blown away at how kind and how open people can be, and how like miracles do happen and magic is real and synchronicities do exist. But in my opinion, or just in my experience, I felt synchronicities open up when you're following, or when I'm following this deeper calling in life, right? Like the podcast, putting the podcast out there is pretty fucking scary. Like it takes a lot of effort. I've got to do a bunch of stuff. I've got to sit down every week. Well, I actually don't have to do anything. I'm choosing to do this, but it takes effort. It takes time, and I'm here for it. But it's also difficult, but I'm going for it. And because I'm going for it, because in my gut's literally saying, hey man, you got to do a podcast. Like, hey man, it's time. Like, hey man, let's go. Because I actually go to follow the steps, follow the scary path, face the fears, see what's on the other end, give love to myself in the process. Magic happens like this. Like, I didn't think that I was going to hear her song in ceremony and then have a mate send it to me whilst I'm thinking about my podcast, and then 2 days of contemplation whether or not I should ask her, and then a voice note back and forth, and she says yes, use all my music, and she says yes, I'd love to be a guest on your show. Like, it's what? Excuse me. Knock knock. Who's there? Excuse me. And what I found, especially in the last couple of weeks since I've launched the podcast, but also like building up to that, the amount of synchronicities that are happening in my life are stupendous and miraculous. But I know it's not random. Like, the universe is listening. The frequency inside of me is increasing. I'm at a higher vibration. Why? Because I'm doing shit that's kind of scary. I'm doing shit that's like, man, you want to do this. So like, are you going to go and do this? Are you going to embrace your fears? Are you going to find out what some of these gifts are in your life? Are you going to serve at a higher level? Right? Or am I going to hide? And I've been hiding because I've been deep in a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. And if you're hiding, I don't even know if it's hiding. Like, if you're just in a place where, you might be listening to this and it's like, yeah, there is something that I want to do. There is something that I want to create in my life. And I do feel a lot of fear about it. And I'm not sure if I could do this. Go slow. Like, go really slow. And if you are in a moment of like pain and challenge, go even slower, and don't feel any pressure or any need to go and create something or to face your fears or to like burst and break through and all these kind of like personal development jargon, like language that people use to just push their way through life and push their way through action. I'm not about that. I'm actually like, I actually am against grind culture. I'm not against effort, and I'm not against like hard work and times where there is this like push in life. I'm not against that. And I understand that there's flex and flow, but I'm about flow. I'm about ease. I'm about like really following the gut instinct rather than what the mind says. And I'm about that because I've done the other thing before. I've done the push. I've done the like breakthrough your limiting beliefs. I've done the grind culture. I've done all of that, and it doesn't work. And it works for a period of time, and then it slowly wears oneself down. And it's not sustainable. And I'm also saying that in times in life, it's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. You're going to be doing things that you might not want to do, but in your gut, you choose to do it, right? The bottom of that is, no, I actually choose to do this. So many people out there that actually think that they need to be doing something that they actually don't want to do, but they just do it because their mind is saying, oh, no, that's what we have to do. That's part of our job. There can be a lot of conflict and resistance, and over time, you will wear yourself down. I wore myself down because I was constantly in resistance and conflict with myself and an enormous amount of judgment. They say like self-discipline is a young man's game and self-permission is a wise man's game. I'm going to say that again, like self-discipline is a young man's game and self-permission is a wise man's game. And it's the difference between moving from like fear and judgment versus flow and choice and love. And there's no right or wrong, by the way. Like a 14-year-old boy who is skinny, small, and wants to get bigger and change his body and be like the other guys, that 14-year-old is mostly moving from pain. Mostly moving from not where I want to be, not good enough. How do I get there? Mostly moving from comparison to other people, right? And his rocket fuel, that 14-year-old boy's rocket fuel is no. What's driving me is pain. I don't like the way I look. I want to be bigger. I want to be stronger. So let me use this momentum. Let me use this energy as fuel source to get to the next level, to take action, to change myself, right? Especially young boys. Young boys move through this. They've got rocket fuel, right? And the rocket fuel isn't, hey man, self-love. Like the rocket fuel is pain. The rocket fuel is like, I'm actually not good enough here, right? The rocket fuel is, I want to be better, right? And that's beautiful. So I don't want to judge moving from pain versus pleasure. They both serve a purpose. And ultimately, later on in life, if we're still moving from a place of pain, if we're still moving from a place of not good enough, if we're still moving from a place of grind and hustle, then that will take a toll. And ultimately, we will break ourselves down. So that's a little bit of a tangent on my thoughts and opinions of grind culture. I'm glad I just took that little detour. But let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to following your gut instinct and the synchronicities and the magic in life that happens when you take one small step towards an action, towards a dream, towards a little whisper inside. Follow those steps in your life and magic will happen all around you. If you're one of those people that have reached out, I've had so many incredible messages and I've had a couple of emails as well, which like blew me away. I'm like, what? People are emailing me? This is stupid. It's not stupid. It's great. But what a pleasure. I just want to say thank you so much for all the beautiful comments and like the encouragement and the people that are listening. It still wigs me out that people are actually listening. And I can have these conversations in the real world about what I'm talking about and like people are on my level. It's a lot of fun. And I really couldn't do it. I couldn't have this like, it's really, I actually just want to say the podcast, this is like first and foremost for me. And this is just how I've chosen to actually embrace my fears in life. And what I'm noticing is that it's helping others. And I had this feeling that it would, but it's like coming to reality. So if you message me, if you like something on Facebook or Instagram, if you're here right now, just thank you. Thank you. I'm going to keep saying thank you for a long time because I'm still in full shock and full awe of what's been happening here. If you take one thing away from this podcast, buck the trend of grind culture. See if you can move from pleasure versus pain, from choice versus judgment in your life. And then finally, magic is real. Synchronicities do occur. There's opportunities everywhere from the universe that are literally on a silver platter. The only caveat is that little whisper inside, follow it. That little gut instinct inside, follow it. Walk towards your fears. Embrace all of those parts that don't think you're good enough or unworthy or not smart enough or dumb enough or, not smart enough or not good looking enough or whatever, just not enough. Walk towards the light that says you can and have a epic time on your journey. Keep smiling, peeps. Lots of love. jonafrans@gmail.com if you want to email me, share your wins, share your thoughts. Ooh, just before I forget, I am going to put the full track, A Joyful Man by Cara Maestra, at the end of this. So if you want to hang out, if you just want to go slow and really just enjoy this beautiful track of healing and feel the intensity that's behind it, and just notice like what comes up in your life, in your being when you listen to this incredible song. I'll post it in the link below for Spotify and also Apple, so her music will be there. I highly recommend to check her out. She's incredible. Cara Maestra. Hopefully get her on the podcast soon. All right, peeps, that's a wrap. Episode 3. See you next week. Lots of love. Keep doing your thing. Come into Integratus. Celebrate yourself. Bye.
Pulses to the rhythm of freedom. Your smile presses on the soul of the world. Your voice an echo ever calling me to come. I know myself in this place unexplored. You've been a light in darkened places. Teach me what grace is, and to trust in the soul I've become. Oh, the magic of you and your heart's many faces, teaching to me my own wisdom. And you said, bring your intensity, bring your shame, bring all of yourself to me. I have the space. Bring your beauty and bring your love. Bring all of yourself to me. You are already enough. I see your courage in your deep surrender, ever patient meeting where I am. Taught me to scream from the place my stand, take my mind with a gentle turning, telling me I'm worthy. A hand on my back as I speak what I need. Oh, the magic of you, so wild and sturdy, showing the world what it means to be free. And you said, bring your intensity, bring your shame, bring all of yourself to me. I have the space. Bring your beauty and bring your love. Bring all of yourself to me. You are already enough. Ooh, 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 ooh. Already enough. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Already enough, already enough, already enough. Bring your intensity. Bring your intensity. I want you to bring all of yourself to me. I want you to bring all of yourself to me, all of yourself to me, all of yourself to me. Bring me all of your sadness, your grief and your pain. Bring me all of your anger and all of your shame. I want all of you, I want every piece. I want you to bring all of yourself to me. I want you to bring all of yourself to me. I want you to bring all of yourself to me. I want you to bring all of yourself to me, all of yourself to me, all of yourself to me. Bring your intensity, bring your shame, bring all of yourself to me. I have the space. Bring your beauty and bring your love. Bring all of yourself to me. You are already enough. Ooh, 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 ooh. Already enough. Ooh, 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 ooh. Hey, hey. Ooh, 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 ooh. Already enough.